Another winter storm is coming to portions of the United States tomorrow through Thursday. And then Thursday through Saturday, we could have another winter storm that is going to impact similar areas. In today's video, we break down what your location could expect in terms of winter weather and whether you need to be getting prepared. As we start out here with the current National Weather Service alerts, if you'll look to the northeast, you will see we do have quite a few winter storm watches in effect right now. Those will later be upgraded to winter storm warnings, and some will be downgraded to winter weather advisories. Now, as we head into our central plains into the Midwest and the Ozarks region, we do see a ton of winter weather advisories extending from Kansas and Nebraska all the way out into western and northern Illinois. And then we have a slew of winter weather advisories extending from western Arkansas all the way back into portions of western Kentucky. And I will say, National Weather Service of Tulsa has said that there will likely be winter weather advisories issued across this region. I should say more like this region because that's around the area they cover. They do not cover out into there. But likely across that area we will get winter weather advisories. But back here in Arkansas and far eastern Oklahoma, it's probably likely. These will likely be issued in the next, say, I'm going to say 3 hours, but before 9 o'clock is when everyone is anticipating those to be issued. Now, if we go and look at the models for what tomorrow is looking to shape up as, here's the HRRR. And we're going to be starting out tomorrow morning with widespread scattered snowfall across portions of Colorado back into Kansas and Nebraska. And then widespread but scattered snow and ice across portions of Oklahoma into Missouri. And this is going to kind of begin to spread out more. And as you can tell, we have tons of snow falling anywhere from western, northwestern Oklahoma back through Kansas into portions of northwestern Missouri, southwestern Iowa, and southeastern Nebraska into eastern Nebraska. Then we do have some spotty snow showers extending from northeast Oklahoma back into western and southwestern Missouri. And then isolated ice showers, I guess you could say freezing rain showers, from western Arkansas into eastern Oklahoma and then southern Missouri. And as we continue, this is going to begin to push to the east. And then we're going to see this really become a very wide area of light to moderate snow. And I'm definitely watching in this area for some heavier snowfall. We could definitely see some heavier snow bands by tomorrow's afternoon to the evening commute. Eventually that'll push off to the east, and then we're going to see some sleet and freezing rain develop over here in eastern Arkansas into western Tennessee and Kentucky. Here's a look at future snow totals, and they kind of have been on the rise a bit. We are expecting a widespread 1 to 3 inches anywhere from western Kansas all the way back towards Kansas City. Then a widespread dusting to 2 inches, isolated up to 3 to 4 inches back here in western to eastern Missouri. Then we are expecting a dusting to around potentially an inch back here in northern Oklahoma. And I will say totals have been on the rise a bit here towards the border. So we're going to watch that, as we definitely could be seeing some totals get upgraded there. And if I'm being honest, I do think this is the area where we will get winter weather advisories in Oklahoma, likely across that area for snow. So we'll definitely watch that. And then this area will probably get winter weather advisories for the ice threat. So we'll definitely watch that closely. Here's a look at the future ice totals. You can tell we have a widespread glaze of ice possible. I know it doesn't fill in through here, but it's definitely going to be possible. It's just going to be a matter of will it accumulate. And this is going to be the HRRR over here in the Midwest. So as this storm begins to push to the east, we're going to see some more snow fill in. Then some freezing rain being possible before it turns over to sleet. Then it'll push over into Ohio and then eventually into the Northeast. And here's a look at the snow totals from here, and they do get higher the further east we go. And as you can tell here, we have a widespread area of 2 to 4 inches with isolated 5 to 6 inches being possible. Then we get over here into Ohio, and we see a widespread 3 to 6 inches of snow, with isolated areas up here near the lake that would be experiencing lake effect snow. Isolated up to 6 to 8 inches are going to be possible. And luckily over here, the freezing rain portion of this storm does not look to be too intense. Going to be watching a light icing threat back there in southern Missouri. Then maybe a bit of a light icing threat back here in northeastern Kentucky, but that would be about it. Here's another model. This is the NAM model, and it is kind of showing a similar picture, although it is picking up on a lot lighter accumulations and everything. And here's a look at the totals that it is picking up. As you can tell, it's picking up on heavier in some areas and lighter in others. So it's something that we're going to be watching. I am not really trusting the NAM model right now, as it is picking up on a lot heavier icing accumulation, but I really just don't see the NAM scenario really panning out. And here's just a look at the NAM as it pushes over into Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. And it's kind of showing a pretty big icing event into the northeast, but like I said, I'm not really sold on the NAM model. It's showing similar totals to the HRRR across this region, but I just really don't see some of the scenarios that it has being panned out. So I do feel in some areas it is accurate, but here in like the icing area, I just don't see widespread icing across Kentucky. And here is another model. This is the RAP model, and this has been a very interesting model, to say the least, to look at. And I do think this is definitely a scenario that could come to play. We're going to be seeing heavier snowfall across portions of Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska tomorrow morning. Isolated ice and rain pockets are going to be back there in central Oklahoma and moving into eastern Oklahoma. Then we're going to see some ice begin to fall back here in portions of northern Oklahoma and back into eastern Oklahoma, northeastern Oklahoma. And then it's going to change over to snow later. I don't really see the change over to rain, really, as that freezing line is going to be sitting right there all day. So depending on where that freezing line sits up, that's going to be a major factor in tomorrow's storm. But honestly, I don't really see it being much of a rainier event. I do see more of an ice and snow threat. And then it is also picking up on some of these heavier bands through here, which I do think we could see about an inch up here in northern Oklahoma if we are lucky. So we're definitely going to be watching it closely. Here's a look at future totals of snowfall, and it is showing a very widespread 1 to 3 inches with isolated 4 inches, and then this widespread about dusting to inch. So we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on it. Here's a look at the future ice totals, pardon me. It has a very widespread trace of ice, and then back here in Arkansas we do have higher ice accumulations. And this is going to be a look at the RAP as we head into farther, as we head into the Midwest. And it is picking up on some heavier icing totals back here in Arkansas. That is not what I'm 100% sold on, but we're still going to be watching it closely for you. As you can tell, very widespread snow as it moves off to the east. Here's a look at the future snow totals from the RAP model, and it is showing lighter, about a widespread 1 to 4 with isolated 5 to 6 inches being possible. And then the ice is where it is a bit heavier, as we can tell here. It's picking up on about 1/4 of an inch back here in Arkansas, and let's actually pan down there. So let's go ahead and go southern Great Plains here. Has a pretty widespread area of around a glaze to 1/4 inch of ice. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that, but it does not look like it is going to be anything too significant. Now, here's a look at the GFS and what it thinks for this system. And we're mainly going to be watching for the northeast here, because that is what we're really looking at the GFS right now. And it has a pretty widespread potential nor'easter occurring. So we're going to be taking a deep look at that here in a moment. We're going to be taking a look at the potential totals that could come out of it. But overall, it does look like it's going to dump a decent amount of snowfall. Here's a look at the future snow totals out of it. And it is picking up on a very hefty region. I do think it is a bit bullish, but around a foot of snow it is picking up near Maine and into the upper portions of the northeastern states. But a very widespread 1 to 6 inches with up to 8 to 9 inches being possible in the higher amount. So we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on this. And as we get closer, we're going to have more video updates as our short-term model guidance comes in. This is a look at the winter storm severity index, and this is the chance of being in the winter weather area, which means you would need to expect winter weather and winter driving conditions. You can tell here it is almost guaranteed across a very large region, as you can tell. Very large area that we see that 80 to 95% chance. And as we push this farther out, it begins to shift to the east some. But if we keep it right around here and go to the chance for minor winter impacts, we're going to be seeing that chance for minor winter impacts across a large area. So we're going to keep an eye on it, but this is our main area that we are watching right now. Is Kansas City is in that area. So as we go and push this out, it does look likely we're going to be seeing minor winter impacts. If we come back to the chance of moderate impacts, luckily it does die down fast. We're still going to see about a 10% chance for that, but the chance for major impacts is non-existent, luckily. And if we go and look at major impacts, we still see the chance for some major impacts back here in the northeast, but we're just going to give it a little bit and see if that goes away. Extreme impacts are not expected anywhere. Moderate impacts are definitely looking possible, as chances are, but on the rise, about a 40 to 50% chance, as you can tell. Chance for minor impacts is looking likely, and then that winter weather area is definitely looking likely. And we could have another system on our hands by the latter portion of this week. And let's go ahead and take a look at what the GFS is showing on that. We aren't going to go into any totals, though. And here's our system, you can tell here. Light ice back here near Wichita Falls, pushing up into portions of Oklahoma, and it becomes more scattered. So we're going to be watching that closely, as it is inside 200 hours. So it is that frame that we kind of watch, as it could be a sign or a signal of something that could come. Here's the European model on it, and it is kind of showing the same thing as the GFS. Nothing really too crazy out of it. So we're going to be keeping an eye on it, but nothing is guaranteed right now. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.